Good afternoon. I warmly welcome you all to Biology Webinar Series 2020, organized by the Institute of Biology Sri Lanka. One of the main objectives of the IOB is to promote and advance science of biology and its application in the country. With the aim of promoting acquisition, dissemination, and interchange of biological knowledge, we annually organize a number of guest talks on various topics of biology. So in this context, this year, we organize a series of web-based guest talks. So before start, I would like to make a few announcements. Biology Webinar Series 2020 is sponsored by the Bank of Ceylon, and we are thankful for this generous sponsorship. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the talk, and the questions will be taken from the audience. So those who are joining us through Zoom platform can type in your questions into chat box, and those who are joining us through Facebook live streaming can direct questions into comment section. I will get the questions and present them to the speaker at the end of the talk. So moving to our guest talk, today we are pleased to welcome Dr. Keerthi Mohotti from Tea Research Institute, Sri Lanka, and he will be sharing with us his expert opinion on responsible agriculture through good agricultural practices. Let me briefly introduce Dr. Mohotti to the audience. Dr. Keerthi Mohotti graduated with a BSc degree from the University of Veeratheniya and obtained his PhD from the University of Reading, United Kingdom. Dr. Mohotti is currently holding the position of the Deputy Director Research Production at the Tea Research Institute of Sri Lanka. And he is a prominent researcher with research interests in disciplines of ecology, biodiversity, farming methods, crop production, and crop protection. He has won several national awards for scientific publications and contribution for science, including Presidential Award and Lifetime Award for the contribution made to tea science. Dr. Mohotti is a chartered biologist and fellow of the IOB. So being testimony for his illustrious career, Dr. Mohotti is currently holding the positions of the Chairmanship of the National Steering Committee of GEF, SGP, UNDP, Sri Lanka, and memberships in National Plant Protection Committee of SLCARP and the Committee on Organic Standards of SLSI. With that brief introduction, I invite Dr. Mohotti to deliver the talk. Please take over. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the introduction and the opportunity given to me to talk on this important subject of responsible agriculture through good agriculture practices. Now, I'll first start why I selected this topic. It's a current topic of interest. Although agriculture has been in practice for many decades, linking food, society, environment, and culture. Of course, feeding the people and animals in the entire planet year round. But at the same time, agriculture has also accomplished so much with the technologies and innovations, with our interventions, that is researchers, innovators, and academics. And for my talk, I'll be using the information related to dryland and wetland farming, horticulture, and floriculture, short-term perennial and plantation crops, home gardens, urban agriculture, forestry, animal husbandry, aquaculture, beekeeping, and something which is very related to Sri Lanka, that is wild harvest. I'll be using some of the pictures when I was traveling around the country. Agriculture, subsistence agriculture, dryland farming and upland farming, and small holdings and home gardens, which is very famous in the country, mixed farming, and wild harvest, as I said. We mainly see Kitul as wild harvest, but at the same time, we have opportunities in wild harvest for medicinal items. But what is important is how best we reap them in a sustainable manner without exploitation. But you might wonder why we have so much of lessons from the King Parakrambau era in Sri Lanka, where we have good practices, lessons with respect to efficient water utilization, maximum land productivity, sustainable harvests, conservation practices, and healthy food. But what is happening today is due to mass scale and industrial or so-called battery or chemical agriculture, which has been focused towards volume by either neglecting or low priority given on socio-economic and environmental considerations. So we have lost certain objectives in farming, or rather agriculture. So in this respect, we need to stress areas where we should be able to bring this agriculture as a safe and responsible manner by handling the resources we call land, labor, money through good agriculture practices in the entire value chain. So I take this word value chain again because we need all aspects in the entire value chain to ensure that the product is safe and prepared or made in a responsible manner. This has been very well recognized by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, that is OECD and FAO, which has given or released guidance for responsible agriculture supply chains. By recognizing agricultural enterprises as major source of growth and development in any country, any region in the world, which also bring expertise, technology, financing capacities to provide safe and nutritious food to a growing population. That is the expectation of the FAO, and also by meeting the changing energy demands, energy which is demanded for agricultural production. So therefore, such enterprises involved in the agricultural sector are critical for the fulfillment of the sustainable development goals specified by the UN. So therefore, the key role that we can play in generating the quality investment in agriculture through ascertaining a decent and smart employment, and also supplying benefits to the producers, growers, processors, and exporters in the entire value chain, and most importantly, the consumers. So in the entire value chain, all stakeholders are in the picture. So in this connection, let me now bring 3 dimensions into this sustainable agriculture principles. First, let me take the crop management, animal husbandry, then environmental management, and then social security. So under crop and animal husbandry, nutrient and pest or disease management are important through integrated and sustainable manner. And land productivity is again important for conservation and improvement. So there's no doubt, if you want to harvest and utilize the food through plants and animals, so animal health and nutrition is very much important. So with respect to environmental management, agricultural waste is considered important, where management to in an integrated manner and recycling. So I will show you some of the examples in a little while, which will make impacts on biodiversity conservation, giving ecosystem services, soil and water conservation, and more importantly, to a country like ours, or in an agriculture landscape, wildlife protection is again important, because wildlife is dependent mainly on agricultural actions. So when it comes to social security, whether it's the farmer, the neighborhood, consumer, or animals are concerned, working conditions are again important, and occupational health is important, and the community relations with the farmer, maybe biodiversity, maybe microbes, and other macro animals are important. So in this respect, under social security, social ethics for human beings and farm animals are very important. So once those are accomplished and ensured, we can ensure that our sustainable farming or agriculture principles provide fairness to the entire society, community, and to the globe. I think you will agree with me, traditional farming systems in the entire Asia has shown good examples and best practices, and those have been very well measured through the sustainability indicators made at cropping system and farming system levels. And most important bioindicators what we see in line with agriculture are earthworms, spiders, and you name any living organisms, which I will be showing in a little while. And energy consumption is again important. The energy, so-called energy, maybe through agricultural inputs, maybe for machinery, is important. So use efficiency is important with respect to sustainability. As social indicators, as I said, the health, ergonomics, nutrition are the indicators. And as economic indicators, the profit and margins of the farmers and growers, especially the peasant farmers. Beneficial fauna and flora, as I said at the beginning, are affected by agriculture, maybe through agriculture pollution and irrational usage of agro inputs. So they will also be measured as indicators. And again, soil, water, and air in the environment are the next set of indicator lists. So at mega level or macro level, soil fertility status, nutrients, biodiversity, energy security, soil loss through erosion during agriculture operations. Natural enemy is important for pest management, where most of the agrochemical usage is promoted, and soil, water, and air pollution factors. Soil, next to soil, the water conservation and retention, which is again important under climate change or global warming scenarios. And for farmer to sustain, product value is important, also to bring down the profits and bring down the additional expenses and to improve the profits and gains, and through which the community, local economy, and finally the capital for social and human. So these are the indicators that I was talking of: the earthworms and water or ravine vegetation. You name any organism associated in the agriculture sector, and which has been already recognized by UNCTAD, FAO, IFAD, and World Bank, who have jointly developed a set of principles for the subject that I'm talking of is responsible agriculture investment or responsible agriculture, where the PRAI will respect rights, livelihoods, and resources. So all countries and all responsible organizations or companies, growers, and all communities have been requested to develop options using sustainable agriculture methods for promoting responsible investments in agriculture. So not only in this part of the world, but the entire world. This has also been recognized well under G20 Leaders Summit in 2011 and Los Cabos Summit in 2012, where 7 principles have been proposed. So I'm not going to detail out all 7 principles, but through a set of pictures, I will strengthen my talk with examples and seeking the responsible approaches and sustainable means to help the responsibility, to guarantee the responsibility in the agriculture sector, and through which to ensure that the entire agriculture value chain is monitored well and give shared benefits to the entire society. So let me start from agriculture a common picture with respect to unprotected agriculture. When you climb up towards hills, you will see the scenes, how the lands, slopy lands, have been unprotected through illicit and encroachments, fires, and unprotected agriculture. I'm repeating unprotection mainly with respect to soil and water conservation. So in this respect, the good agricultural option is slopeland agriculture measures by terracing. For terracing, you will see how important is the workers or the community should get together to work in a responsible manner to make sure that the lands are safe and maintained in a responsible manner with the least soil erosion and degradation due to heavy rains or agriculture operations. And at the same time, what is again important is the growers and the community can reap harvest, profits, and benefits by getting higher crops while serving the ecosystem in a responsible manner. So in the plantation sector, you will again see how the slopeland agricultural methods with various soil conservation methods, inclusive of terracing, live fences, etc. Again, in the common paddy sector, you will again see similar operations. So what is again important is in a responsible manner, if you work closely in a joint manner, you can ensure that the communities and the entire ecosystems in the downstreams will be safe without any damages through agricultural systems. Water is another important resource to you and me and to the entire world. So watershed management in this respect is important because this is a very costly resource in the agriculture sector. So watershed management will gives rise clean and sustainable water sources for drinking and agricultural purposes. But if you do not support this, you will end up with silting, polluted water, not only for you and me and to agriculture, even for aquatic animals. So in this respect, again, ravine vegetation protection, especially in wet zones, is important. And this is again not only for agricultural purposes, but also to safeguard, as I said, the vegetation in and around the ravines, as well as the flora and fauna, what you and me are keen to conserve. And we should not forget the local communities again depend on freely moving or freely flowing water. So we need to ensure in a responsible manner that the local communities are provided with safe water. So safe and rational water use is important, and how rational is the question. But if you if you travel towards dry zone agriculture, you will see how irrationally this important resource is being used. So you dig water and use in an irrational manner. So ultimately, our main thinking and approach to conserve water, this important resource, will be in waste, and even the natural forests like Singaraj and Knuckles will get into this scenario. So this is a picture that I captured during the last weekend in Knuckles. So this is a good example to show you how irrationally people have been exploiting water for maybe for agriculture or otherwise, but ultimately ending up with creating unfavorable and conducive conditions for fauna and flora, which are important in our ecosystem services. So in this respect, forest management is important, whether it's local or exotic forest, which are important for fuel wood and forest. And forest will support not only for fuel wood and energy, but also they give multi purposes for flora and fauna in a different magnitude. So if you don't look after the forests by fires and burning, so you will end up in again in bad situations. So the traditional agriculture or local farming has given us good lessons in a responsible manner, how agricultural waste should be recycled in a proper manner by composting. I think this is not the only way of recycling, but this is a cost-effective and locally culturally sensitive method. But what is important in composting is to ensure that composting, the process, will not give rise agriculture pollution, like in the case of synthetic agriculture or battery farming. You will see in this picture, if you don't take precautions, you will promote water and air pollution. And the good examples are nitrate pollutions in water and air pollutions through various means. So green manuring again is another recycling system which is considered as a responsible sustainable agriculture practice, which will again help reduce or improve pest management scenarios in agriculture, because we always see these scenarios, pictures in the subject of agrochemical usage, where we see unsafe situations. So protective equipment again as a means of good agricultural practice is important. And with respect to land utilization, the next to water, land is the precious resource in the country in agriculture. So through mixed cropping, relay cropping, and you can use any agricultural systems. Even in highland slopelands, you can go for intercrops so that you can improve the resource utilization by giving options to each and every single centimeter to capture each and every resource that is found in the agriculture ecosystem. And in the plantation sector, without vacancies, to infill and filling vacancies with suitable crops, and mixed cropping, as I said, using various choices of agricultural crops, maybe short term or perennial crops or mid term crops, and all what you harvest should be made safe and increase the quality without damaging with respect to the chemical, physical, and biological qualities. And again, for traceability, quarantine and record keeping is important. That is another good agricultural practice that I want to bring in, which is very much important in the new era where we work on ISO systems in agriculture, especially in the agribusiness sector. Let me now come into animal production practices, where we see good agriculture practices as through diversification of crops and livestock. So the operations should be managed with planning, inclusive of grazing management for animals, farm animals, and proper choice of breeds, important for respect to regions, which will also give proper nutrition, reproduction, health, and welfare. This is also important in our animal production systems, which will guarantee a balanced feed and a healthy environment, so that our farm products, whether it be it milk cheese, meat, or eggs, or anything, we are safe. So the responsible approach should be to ensure such products as farm products are safe and nutritious. And we should not again forget the welfare of the people, the workers, even including the next generation. And last but not least, the beliefs and rituals which is common in the traditional agricultural systems, which will bring a link, as I said, in the agriculture with very strong links with agriculture, which will promote a local culture. So while we reap benefits for agricultural products, business, and environment and social benefits, there are opportunities in agriculture as agribusiness, which I will take you through in very, very briefly. When it comes to products, value-added products with higher profit margins, eco shops, traditional food, which you and me will enjoy, and the ingredients for materials, maybe for export purpose or local consumption, and for services, ecotourism, nature trails, homestay, and nature parks, which will be promoted now in the entire world under tourism. And for knowledge, publications, training, awareness, and records, and especially for bioprospecting aspects or bioprospecting options, biological resources that we responsibly safeguard will provide social, environmental, and ethical certification needs or prerequisites or indicators. So through which some of the available certifications are Fair Trade Organic Ethical Tea Partnership, that is ETP, or Good Food, Carbon Neutral, or Forest Stewardship, or Rainforest. So those are common, and these will bring much merit to the growers, processors, exporters, as well as the entire agriculture communities, while giving a huge satisfaction to the consumers. So if I take you through some of the pictures of such products with certifications in agri business, with the environment, with promotion through in a responsible manner on environment, social, and economic aspects. Some of the food and beverages, and baby foods, fruits, herbs, and farm animal food, bee products, juices. Not only them, even they link with in textiles. So as agriculturists, academics, and researchers, we have certain areas to think, and these are some of the things that I wish to put forward for discussion for better implementation of the responsible agricultural options by properly understanding the prospects and limitations in agriculture, the special awareness raising methods or extension tools, public-private public partnership approaches with the governments, and more importantly, the stewardship related to natural and human resources. And the other important aspect is a system or landscape approach from individual level or individual farm level to the local ecosystems, and then to the entire communities, be it local or global, so that the responsibility what I'm proposing or what I'm putting forward can be shared among all participants in the entire entire value chain or the system, including the consumer. So in this respect, the consumer is another important stakeholder to utilize agricultural produce, agricultural products in a responsible manner without waste. So agricultural waste or food waste again will bring our important area of responsibility into a question. So as I said earlier, we cannot work without the local community. We should get the local communities engaged in a responsible manner, so that we can gain this important area of responsibility by linking the government, the academics, the researchers and developers and the policymakers, and also in the entire food industry, maybe farmers, growers and processors. We need to link them, and we should not forget the non-governmental organizations who have their dedicated commitment towards environment, social and economic aspects. So with this, I think I can wind up my talk now by telling that the responsible agricultural options will lead to solve some of the problems which you and me face today, locally as well as globally, such as climate change, agricultural pollutions, health aspects, health problems linked with agriculture, food quality with respect to pesticide residues and other unwanted contaminations, maybe biological or physical contaminations. And for a country like ours, socio-economics is again important. So the responsible agriculture options to support the sustainable development goals will be fulfilled, so that the FAO need, FAO expectations will be fulfilled if you, me, and entire stakeholders in the entire value chain, what we talk of, can be jointly put our hands together to make the agriculture sector responsible. So with that, I'll wind up my talk. Thank you for your kind hearing. Let me thank again the Institute of Biology Sri Lanka, who has shown the keen interest to take this talk to the audience, and which will now bring up a few questions to me. I'm pleased to answer your questions. Thank you very much. Over to you now.
Thank you very much for the comprehensive overview about problems we face in agriculture and about the sustainable and good agricultural practices. So we have received a number of questions for the questions and answer session. Shall we start that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of future climate change, what is the biggest challenge that Sri Lankan agriculture will face? Yeah.
Okay. With respect to climate change linked with agriculture, to me, water is important. So I think I showed you a few examples, starting from the King Parakrambahu era. We have good lessons where we utilized responsible utilization of the water resource, and without waste, and without exploiting, as well as not damaging the water. So to meet up with climate change issues in the country, or in agriculture, I think that the best important option is to ensure that water is conserved, retained adequately, as the OECD 7 principles, as per the OECD 7 principles. So we can make sure that climate change mitigation could be achieved mainly through saving water.
Okay, right. Thank you.
Okay.
Another question about organic farming. For organic farming, how can a farmer get a certification? Who are the authorities that keep track to see whether they are following them?
Okay, now organic farming, the term organic farming has only one meaning. It's not only going away from synthetic agrochemicals, but as certification prerequisites and indicators, there are other requisites, like the same thing that I presented in my talk, the environmental, social, and economic aspects. So if somebody is practicing, if somebody is going to commit that he or she is going to practice organic farming, so he or she needs to ensure that the entire farm is away from synthetic agro inputs, while giving a guarantee that the environment, social, and economic aspects are managed or maintained in a sustainable manner. So for that, certification is important. Without certification, nobody can say this is an organically accepted product. For that, there are local and international inspectors in the country. Before you get into decide on marketing, so best advice by me is to link with the local or international inspector. Even the government of Sri Lanka, the Minister of Agriculture, Commerce Ministry, Export EDB, Export Development Board, SLSI, have already developed local guidelines and principles based on the principles given by international authorities, that is IFOM, International Federation for Organic Agriculture Movement. So the certification is a must, and certifiers and inspectors are available in the country.
Thank you very much. And again, another question again about organic farming. Are the steps taken to promote organic farming sufficient in the country? How can we make the transition?
Okay, as I said at the previous question, organic farming is not only organic farming is not a system with without synthetic inputs, but it needs certain so a globe to transform into organic agriculture, but that would be a one angle to look at. But at the same time, even the chemical agriculture, synthetic agriculture, as I said, as I showed in my talk, could be very well managed, implemented in a responsible manner through sustainable agricultural options, precise agriculture, you name anything today. We have so much of options in hand by the research and development arms in the country, as well as in the region, as well as in the entire world. So organic farming to me is one option, but I mean, not necessarily to be replace the entire globe into organic agriculture. But there are areas, there are certain products that require organic certifications. So that's an opportunity, as I showed in as an opportunity in the agriculture, agribusiness for local farmers to reap benefits. So at the same time, young entrepreneurs like maybe science and agriculture graduates, farmers, young growers, young processors, young exporters, I think they have a better opportunity to go for organic farming and to make organic industry a success. Yeah. Anything else?
Is to introduce botanical insecticides and products of enhancing natural defense system of plants under sustainable agriculture.
Okay, I think so. That's an one option, right? One option in sustainable agriculture, mainly aiming at integrated pest and disease management, plus integrated nutrient management. So it's our duty or farmers' expertise that certain plant species, right, that is available in the system, in the ecosystem or agriculture ecosystem, which can be utilized for this purpose. So thereby you can go for either green manuring, either for green manuring or botanical extracts, or if anyone is capable in developing a product, again that is another opportunity where either synthetic inputs can be either replaced or minimized by improving the plant defense mechanism. Of course, yes, when you go for natural plant products or natural plant products with pesticidal properties and certain chemical compounds which will induce plant growth as well as plant defense mechanisms, we call it elicitors or defense chemicals in agriculture. So that is a doable and well practiced, recognized as a best agriculture option.
Yeah, thank you very much. And another question. Okay, so what are your views with regard to the chronic kidney disease because we use a lot of chemicals. Is there a possibility to use reduce these chemicals?
Okay, I think the question is posed only on chronic kidney disease, but with our experience through agriculture pollution and ill practices in agrochemical handling, it is not only a chronic kidney disease, but also they might lead to cancers and skin diseases, so skin complexes, so differences in complexes, as well as other health problems, even going down to respiratory and reproductive issues. So those are the issues, but at present, no one has been able to prove that this is only due to agriculture pollution, but there are multifactorial impacts given rise to such health issues, especially in the farming sector. But what is important is, if you know that agrochemicals or synthetic inputs are chemicals which are harmful and which will give detrimental effects to pests or disease causing organisms and weeds. So same impacts will have same group of people or group of organisms, which are the human beings. So that is natural. So for CKDU is considered as a multifactorial issue. So I cannot say it's only agrochemicals, but within agrochemicals, you cannot name one or two single chemicals based on the experiences that we have gathered.
Yes, thank you very much. I think with that we conclude the question and answer session. And again, thank you very much for comprehensive talk and the discussion. And on behalf of the IOB, I would like to thank you once again for joining us today.
Okay, thank you.